Hey guys, it's Ihasnotomato here, and today there's been a new post on the TF2 blog, which I normally wouldn't talk about, but this one's sort of interesting. For those of you who don't know, today they posted a whole list of potential balance changes to a whole bunch of weapons that they're anticipating to put in the next update, the Pyro update. And they basically just put them out there and just wanted to know what people think and get some more feedback and stuff like that. And I think that's a super awesome idea. The fact that they're trying to communicate with us like that is a massive step in the right direction. I really, really love it. And these balance changes look pretty good too. So without further ado, let's jump right into them. I'm not going to talk about all of the changes necessarily, because there are some that just don't interest me and some that, you know, are whatever to me. So I'm just going to talk about the ones that are interesting and just give my thoughts and opinions on them. So first off, I want to talk about what's absent. Now, don't get me wrong, I definitely appreciate this post, but I just want to address why I think certain things aren't here. The main thing being that there is a complete lack of any changes for Pyro at all. I think that the reason for this is because the Pyro is either going under some major changes and they don't want to give that all away, or they're going to have to do with the new weapons that they might be getting, or something like that. I just think that because the next update is centered around the Pyro and they've hinted at like massive changes, they're not gonna throw that all out there immediately. These are just some general big changes, I suppose, actually, to some of the other weapons for other classes. There are other weapons and things that aren't here as well that some people have been talking about, but I'm just going to talk about what is here. So first, let's talk about the panic attack, and this is one of the least used weapons in the game, and admittedly I was a bit surprised by that. I thought that ever since they changed it that you can hold your bullets that more people use it, but I guess not. So now that it's got 50% faster switch speed and 50% more pellets and 30% less damage and has all these changes, do I think that people are going to use it still? Honestly, no. There's just something unappealing about the panic attack, and I honestly think, for me personally, the only reason I don't use it is because there's just always a better option, you know? With like the soldier, I'd honestly just prefer a normal stock shotgun. With the Pyro, I always use my flare guns, you know. With the heavy, I use sandwich. I mean, what are you, crazy? And with engineer, once again, I just kind of prefer stock. I don't know, maybe after this change comes out and I get to see it in game, I'll actually maybe care a little bit more, but I don't know. Next we have a couple changes to the spy. So first off we have the ambassador, which essentially now makes it so you can't really get effective headshots from a long range and essentially become a new sniper class. And I really like this change. There have been a couple of bullshit moments, I won't lie, in the past where spies have just been a bit too, you know, cocky with their aiming, and honestly that's still a bit of a problem if you ask me. I can't help but feel a little bit bullshitted when you're in a one-on-one fight with a spy and you should technically have the advantage because you've got the better gun in like 99% of the situations, but if he just lands that one lucky shot, or I suppose that one skilled shot, then you're fucked. There's an insta kill in most cases, so it's a little bit annoying. But that's just my personal grievance. Either way, I do think this is a really nice change and definitely heading down the right track. The Dead Ringer actually got a nerf, which I really like, which now essentially makes it so that ammo kits and dispensers no longer refill the spy's cloak meter when using the Dead Ringer. So no more of that bullshit, you know, you hit a spy that's using the Dead Ringer, they run away and use that increased speed to find an extra ammo box, and you hit them again and they just Dead Ringer again, and they keep using this to essentially just put on all these resistances and use it to maneuver around a fight, when the Dead Ringer should be a tool to escape. The way I consider Spy is that he's supposed to be a glass cannon, right? He deals a wallop, he'll fucking one-hit kill you from behind, but as a result he's supposed to be, you know, a sneaky spy, and if he's caught, that should be game over. So as a result, to counter that, they gave the Dead Ringer, which allows you to basically get one free chance to escape. But ever since they made it so you can just get ammo packs and stuff, people are using it more as a combat maneuver rather than the escape maneuver. So I really like this change. I think that it makes it so the Dead Ringer will be used more in the way that it was intended to be. Your Eternal Reward has also received some pretty interesting changes. Now they've removed the Cannot Disguise penalty, which was like part of the whole Eternal Rewards deal, and added non-disguise kills require and consume a full cloak meter. So essentially that you can disguise at any time with your disguise kit, but it takes your entire cloak away. like just the meter at least, I think. So you can, it still recharges, I presume, that after you do that, but that's sort of interesting. I'm not honestly sure how to feel about this. It says that like the least used spy knife is the Ye, and personally it's one of my favorites. At least mechanically, I think it's a great weapon. But you know, adding the ability to disguise, I don't know. I'm honestly not quite sure how I feel about that. I mean, I like it. It is one of my favorite spy knives, so I suppose a buff is a buff is a buff. But yeah, I don't know. The Pretty Boy's pocket pistol got an interesting little upgrade. Now it's got 15% firing speed and up to, or plus 15% firing speed and up to plus 7 health per hit from plus 5. And I like this. I like this a lot. Considering someone who uses the Mad Milk as essentially as just a way of, you know, gaining health from shooting people, I like that there's like an alternative actual shooty people weapon for that. Of course, it is a little bit less helpful to your team, but I don't know, like now it's actually, as soon as I saw this, I was like, huh, this weapon that I never considered to even basically be a weapon in the game, I might actually want to use now. So that's interesting. Critical has received some changes. I don't necessarily know if it's exactly what people have wanted for it, because I know that people have been saying that the critical is outright broken, and I guess I agree in some regard. But the changes are that they've added that each attack while active adds marks for death. So I assume that as soon as you shoot with it, you get marked for death for 5 seconds. And it doesn't stack. I assume that it resets, maybe? I don't know. It no longer has the mark for death when effect expires. You no longer get the move speed bonus, and you no longer get the damage taken penalty. So essentially, it's supposed to be that you can activate Critical, and the second that you start firing with it, you are at risk of your own health. Once again, this is something that I think I just gotta see in game to know the effectiveness of it. It sounds pretty okay on paper, I think, but I don't know, man. I don't know. The Atomizers received some pretty interesting changes as well. They talked about how the main thing with it was that their scouts were abusing the triple jump technique and confusing the fuck out of players. So now they made it so to use the triple jump, you have to have the Atomizer out. Which, you know, as soon as that, you know, when equipped thing comes up, a lot of people roll their eyes and shrug and go, ugh. But there have been some interesting additions as well. They got rid of the self-inflicted damage when triple jumping. They removed the attack speed penalty, and they added melee damage done while airborne mini crit and 50% deploy time penalty. So you could, to prevent you from going, you know, back and forth all the time with these triple jumping stuff. But that mini crit airborne thing, like what the hell? That's interesting. So I'm guessing the idea is like, I don't know, there's like a rocket jumping soldier, so you triple jump up to where he is and you smack him in the face with your bat and you get the mini crit damage. I don't know, that's a crazy change, but I like it. I like the change to that. With the base jumper, they remove the ability to redeploy it once it's retracted. So essentially it seems that like you can jump, deploy it, take it away, but you can't redeploy it again. And that seems decent enough, I guess. But I'm still like whatever about it. I don't know what it is about the base jumper. Something just doesn't quite appeal for me over that, but The Darwin's Danger Shield has finally taken away that whole sniper advantage thing. They've made it a sort of counter to the Pyro of all things, giving you afterburn immunity and fire resistance and counter ranged burn attacks like flare guns and stuff. It's all against Pyros, which makes me think that it might correlate to some new weapon as well that the Pyro might be getting in the next update. I'm just saying, you know, it's such a strange specific detail to make it the sniper of all classes to have Pyro resistant stuff. Like it confuses me. I'm not exactly a big fan of the whole afterburn immunity thing or fire resistance at all. 50% fire resistance. I'm like, what the fuck? But you know, like, I guess it's fine. I mean, like, I'm sure a lot of people, all they're seeing is like, okay, finally, it's not like an insta-win in sniper battles. So there's that. And the Razorback also got a really interesting change, which you know, now it has like a minus 100% overheal penalty and stuff like that, so pocketed snipers and stuff like that, something in competitive, blah blah blah. You know, honestly, the main thing I saw here was that the shield regenerates after 30 seconds, and that was the key thing for me. The fact that the shield actually comes back again has been something that I've wanted since its release. And I was around when this was released, and I was like, this is pretty good, but you know, if I could get it like more than once, it would be like, I might actually consider using it. Of course, nowadays there's so many alternatives and stuff like that that I still don't necessarily consider it, and I'm still attached to Girardi. I don't know how I could ever change, but I really like that change. I like the fact that finally you can get your Razorback back without having to go to a resupply cabinet, and I appreciate that. Next we have the Vitasaur, and this is just really interesting. Allow me to read this to you. So the Uber charge on death is too valuable of an effect to be a passive. So the goal was to change the weapon in a way that requires skill and risk in order to gain this effect. So this is what they're fucking doing. Added organs. Collecting concept. You know, you hit someone with a saw and out pops a vital organ which you take and hold. Each hit with the Vitasaur harvests the victim's organs and it shows it on the HUD. So now, and then on death, you get 50% Uber charge per organ harvested. So essentially, in order to get the retaining Uber charge on death thing, you actually have to go around and hit people with the Vitasaur. Now, I love this idea. It's so wacky, but I kind of like adore it. I love this. I just want to see this in game. I want to see people's organs flying out the place and the medic picking them up. It kind of reminded me of you know, Reaper's orbs from Overwatch, which they've actually taking out of the game. So it might make me think that they're sort of coming into this. But I just really want to just see this in game. I've always really liked the Vitasaur, and honestly, the number one change I want for that, and I think a lot of people will agree with me, is I want there to be a strange version of it, please, because I would fucking use it. Hell yeah, especially now with this change. Like, I liked it before, but this is just like really interesting to me. So give me a strange Vitasaur and I'm on this shit. So the change to Gru as well, and honestly, this change is I don't know if I'm quite reading it right. It says max health is drained while item is active, and then regenerated when holstered. So does that mean like your actual like max health? So you say you start off with 300 health. Your like actual like max will be going down, like, you know, in fucking Dark Souls, in the where those jailers or whatever in Dark Souls 3, you know, they drain your max health and then you gotta wait for that to regenerate. Like, I guess that's a pretty like crazy change, but you know, it might work. I don't know. Either way, I really like the idea of them kind of nerfing the Gru a little bit. I'm actually mentioning it in my next video. I do kind of dislike the fact that people only pretty much exclusively use the Gru, because I really do like, there are quite a few other heavy melee weapons which I do think are pretty nice, and they get shafted a little bit just because of this, you know, need for movement speed. I personally don't use the Gru myself, but because, you know, I prefer those other weapons, and movement speed isn't that major for me when I play heavy, but, you know, either way, I really do like this. And finally, the Rescue Ranger, and essentially what they've done to it is they've made it so now when you shoot your buildings with your bolts, repairing 60 damage costs 15 metal, and it's like a 4:1 health to metal ratio. And at first I was like, wow, what the fuck, really? No! And then, like, I thought about it for like 3 seconds and realized, you know what, that actually kind of makes sense. And in all honesty, when you really think about it, that probably should have been like that from the start. I mean, to be honest, like, really, if you think about it, the Rescue Ranger in terms of like building management is quite overpowered. Now, I always kind of like rationalize as like, well, you're getting rid of like a real gun for it. But really, the ability to heal your buildings without, you know, costing literally anything other than like your ammo is a pretty big deal, and the fact that it now costs a little bit to do it, you know, that's fair. That's totally fair. I can understand that, and I honestly don't think that it's gonna affect me in such a major way that I'm like, it's unusable. No, I think this is a fair and, you know, change that I think probably should have also been here from the start. But yeah, anyway, so those were my general thoughts on all of these potential changes. Remember, folks, they just threw these out there to get some feedback and stuff like that, so please, you know, let them know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. Write in the comments below what you think about these new changes. And was there any weapons that didn't appear here? Remembering that, you know, I said that I'm pretty sure there's a reason that the pyro weapons aren't here, but yeah, let me know. And I've been Ihasnotomato, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.